Welcome to the Relentless Pursuit podcast. Today we have a very special guest for you. Once again, Mrs. Casey Samsel.
Hi, friends.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This episode is brought to you by Relentless Pursuit. Hit us up at Relentless_Pursuit on Instagram, Relentless_Pursuit_HQ for all the headquarters stuff. And check out the Relentless Pursuit podcast on all platforms. Be sure to share, review, subscribe, like it, share, do all the things, get it out there. We'd appreciate it. And it's also brought to you by my man, Logan Hyder at Cinema 83 LLC.
What's
also my wonderful co-host, my beautiful co-host.
It just sounds so good every time.
Yeah, I know.
It just gets me all...
He wasn't supposed to be my co-host at first, but then it just turned out this way. Yeah,
I'm blushing.
I love it. So, yes, there's the intros. Casey Samsel. It's the first time on this podcast, of course. Tell us what you do now. Tell us what you got going on, who you are, what you do, and then we'll go back. We'll bring it back.
What if I don't know the answer to that? No, I'm slowly figuring out who I am, of course. Yeah, make something up. Alien unicorn glitter cupcake lady. I am the co-founder or the founder and CEO of the FitFam Project and the co-owner of Team Casey LLC right now, working on a partnership with one of the most amazing people in my entire life. And those are two online coaching companies for women in which we are trying to help them find alignment in their emotional body, spiritual body, mental body, and their physical body. Really, really important for what's going on right now.
Yeah.
I am also, I will say, retired IFBB Bikini Pro right now. I might get back up on stage here in the next couple of years, but right now I am doing a lot of just rebuilding what I broke, over the last 9 years, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all those things. So,
well, yeah, I mean, that's priority.
It absolutely is, especially right now. I mean, anybody can go and be a fucking meat titan when they're ready. Like, I can rebuild my body whenever I'm ready, but the other stuff you've got to definitely take as it comes.
Well, and those things too are like I said, they priority because a lot of people lose those and never get it back. That what they built there, and they lose their spirituality and their emotional well-being and all that. And then they just, because they're so focused on these external things, and that's all that really drives them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So rebuild that, come back better than ever.
Yeah.
Keep doing your thing.
And the thing is too, you have to remember, like, if you're going to start doing the spiritual stuff and the emotional stuff and the mental stuff, like, and you want to bring that physical body with you, you've got to do it at the same time. You can't go, you can obviously build up your emotional stamina and stuff like that and emotional balance for a long time. But you also want to make sure that you're still watching your physical health too, and your overall wellness.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. You need that. Don't stop moving.
Yeah.
For sure. Hell yeah. Well, we're going to get more into that.
Sure.
But let's take it back. Let's take it back to the early days. If you don't mind, how old are you, by the way?
I think I'm 33.
You think so?
Yeah. December.
Nice. So you turned 33 in December?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. I turned 33 in April. Right behind you.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So take us back, though. Tell us about your childhood, some stuff going on there, because we want to know what's led you to here, and we're going to go beyond that, of course. But yeah, take us back a little bit. Let's talk about it.
Sure. I think my most authentic self is me discovering why I was so hard on myself growing up and addressing the emotional traumas and things like that, and developing some serious mental fortitude through all the suffering that I had to do as a woman, or, whatever it is. But I just remember I had no idea that I was, building this into the FitFam Project eventually, kind of like you had mentioned your story and how Relentless Pursuit came to be.
Of course.
I had no idea I was doing it then, but now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. A lot of suffering, you can relate. I remember all of that first started like back in high school. It was like absolute torture of me, like trying to fit in, with people in general, trying to be one of the popular kids, trying to be good at the sports, trying to have a better outlook on life, or having, if I didn't have parents that were rich. Like, I had all these things that were problems.
Where'd you grow up at?
Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania.
Where?
Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania.
Bloomsburg. I don't know what to say. All I know is my cousins live in the Poconos. Is it close to that?
Yeah. About an hour.
You know where Jim Thorpe is? Mm-hmm. Okay, I got family from there.
Yeah.
But anyways, I love it.
Way to save that one, Joe. Way to save that one. That was awesome.
I love it. I love the Poconos.
Yeah.
It's beautiful up there. I love going to visit them. It's nice.
They got the NASCAR track up there.
Shit, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I guess they do have a race at Pocono.
Yeah.
I've heard of that before. Not a big NASCAR guy.
My dad used to make me hold signs at that racetrack that said, "Show me your tits."
No way. Wow.
Hell yeah.
What a fun life. But yeah, no.
What a fun life.
Yeah.
Did it work?
I don't know. I probably just
She was like
blacked
hiding.
out.
You were probably just hiding
behind the
behind the
sign.
sign.
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
"Fuck,
Exactly.
I probably blacked out. But yeah, no. So the whole thing about like high school was me just trying to fit in and trying to adjust my self-esteem, and it was a lot of work for me. I would torture the shit out of myself.
Yeah, because you'd mentioned something about like, you know, body image issues and stuff like that. You know, is that what you're talking about as far as the torture?
Yeah. So it got to the point where I was so upset with myself and outside of my body for things I couldn't control. You know, I couldn't control how my family fed me. I couldn't control these things. The only thing that I really could control is like exercise or whatever it was. But where all that started was I saw everybody wearing like these Hollister jeans, Abercrombie jeans and things like that. Everybody's like fitting into all their stuff. And
Yeah.
I had a bunch of cellulite as a young kid, and I was really stressed out. I wasn't a good student. A lot of things just like kind of spiraled out of control. And I eventually got to the point where I would get into like relationships, and it would start affecting my relationships, and I would need to find a way to bring people back into my life because I was scaring them with how insecure I was. By scaring them, I mean I would like physically like punch myself in the face, or I would like hit my head off of like brick walls. Jesus. And I thought that was like the way to get people back. Turns out that it scares them away more.
Yeah. I mean, hell, because, you know, you could sit there, they might think, man, she's crazy enough to do this. She might say I did that damage or whatever, you know, someone's trying to dodge a bullet as well. But, you know, and relationships are funny because a lot of people are like, find somebody that accepts you for all the things. But I think that's important. But there's also, you can't be trying to push people away as well. You know what I'm saying? With some of the actions. So maybe I'm just hitting yourself or whatever, you know. But at the time, you didn't even realize it.
Right. I didn't. Yeah, no, I thought that was normal almost, honestly. I mean, I felt outcast because I had treated myself so badly, but you eventually just forget that you're doing it. You know what I mean? And you're like, well, if I do this, then maybe I am punishing myself for being this way, and then I'll do better.
Yeah.
And I think that's also another like childhood trauma that I had to address as an adult. Like if I did something like a little bit wrong, it was like the end of the world.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how I carried that into myself. I would just punish myself before anybody else did. I mean, I told you too, like I would go running in 100-degree weather with no water, no food, and I would do it for hours until I couldn't feel my legs. And I mean, the one time my mom found me and I passed out as soon as I got in the car. Damn. And then...
So you were just finding different ways to punish yourself. So what was what were you punishing yourself for exactly? What did you feel like you were doing wrong?
Just being just cellulite, not being, I don't know.
Like just like being yourself, basically. Like
Yeah.
you just didn't feel good about like yourself, so you felt like you had to punish yourself. Yeah, that's rough.
It was awful.
So it was like also like a self-worth thing too and all that as well. You were just like, for lack of better terms, you just kind of hated who you were.
Yeah. And I mean, trying to do that and punishing myself, and that I also did that with like school. Like I obviously, or not obviously, but it's obvious to me now, like I would just be the most like pessimistic person because I thought that's what I deserved. So like I would purposely get like detention, or I would purposely get in school. I would purposely be late for school so I had an excuse.
Like to be a troublemaker, right? Like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So you said that started in high school?
Yeah.
Like when you were trying to fit in and stuff?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that was almost like as a contrast to what you felt like other people were?
I mean, everybody else seemed like they were doing okay, except for a select few that literally never went to school. But when you're so wrapped up in your own garbage, like you don't really...
Well, Chance in the last episode, she said that she had a lot of trouble in that time as well. And I don't look fondly on that time either. And she said that she felt like everybody else had a handbook that she didn't have. I thought that was an interesting way to put it. In the podcast, I said, it's like they have something you almost can't put your finger on, but it's like, you just got to figure it out. And it's like, what what is that? It's almost frustrating, to experience because it's like, what is it that you know that I don't know?
Yeah. That's it. That's interesting because I don't know. My childhood was a lot different. I mean, I know high school was pretty just typical high school experience. I was a jock. I played football and I knew a lot of people and like I partied and it was just my grades were always mediocre, but it's cool because I was a good football player. Just like all worked out, But knowing now, I guess. I mean, I was nice to everybody. I got along with everybody in school. I always treated people well, and like I think I've just always been. That's my nature. But I guess listening to you at the time, I never really was aware people were dealing with shit like that because you're so trapped in your little. I'm wondering about like what cheerleader am I going to date next? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, she's cute, but no. But I'm not worried about like, man, what's really going on in these people's minds and in their hearts, And I focus so much on that now. Like I really try to dig. That's what I love about this podcast is just really digging deep into who people are and understanding them. It's just kind of crazy to think about, But also on the other hand, it's like that's built you to where you're at now.
Yeah.
And this is like after high school for me was when I throw myself in the fire for a lot of shit, And like that's when. I started to suffer was in my later years, not really when my childhood was a breeze for the most part. But then, in my 20s and stuff is when things got tough, and like but I almost like embraced it. I was like, man, I want to have to suffer, it's weird, but we'll get into that too.
Yeah. I jumped in there. What were you saying? You were talking about punishing yourself. You said you were running outside and your mom found you.
Oh yeah. There was so many, there was like a list of things that I would do. I remember like at lunch for like a couple months straight, I like would pour milk over my lunch so I wouldn't eat it.
Damn.
Yeah.
If it was a peanut butter and jelly, that's one thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why I did that. And then my mom wanted me to eat, so she'd give me money to get like a salad bar, and I still would do the same thing with that. I just literally just did not want to eat. I went through all of the things,
And how was your relationship with the parents?
I would say that because me and my mom were basically growing up at the same time, we're now getting really connected, it's nice because I think she sees how I'm living my life and how I'm addressing all the things that I need to do.
Was she pretty young? She had you pretty young or something like that, or
21?
Okay.
Yeah. And I know women are younger, and I know a couple of people just on the FitFem project staff who they had children when they were 15 years old.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a different story, but. My family dynamic, not a lot of us we're not like super close because I feel like a lot of the relationships are forced.
Well, that's how a lot of families are.
Yeah.
They think, we're family, we're blood, so we have to be close. And it's just like, man, I don't connect with you on anything.
Right.
Like, I love you. Yeah, we're family, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to fake something either. Right. I talk about it all the time. Like I've got some awesome family members. I love my immediate family so much, and I've got some great family. But I've got like my brothers I go see in Florida that we took this oath together, and that, like I don't know, I'm closer to them than I am a lot of my family, and it's not blood. So
yeah. And again too, like just to bring it back, like I remember distinctly growing up. I remember one day I walked into my Nana's house. My mom was standing at the counter and my Nana was also standing like a little bit off side of the counter. And I had come home from them not seeing me for a little while. I think I had moved away. I had moved to state college, and that's another story. I got like basically bullied out of town with like death wishes. It was awful.
Jeez.
But I had a good time. I eventually met my husband. So.
You got bullied out of town from high school to college, or for?
Yeah, between those two times, yeah. Dang, what was I going to say?
Bullies are the worst.
Yeah, oh my God.
They just are. They're the worst.
Terrible.
That's like such a trigger for me, dude. Like,
what are they doing now?
A bully is like, oh, that's the worst, dude.
I know. There's like, I think about this sometimes, and I'm like, man. Because I was bullied a lot growing up until high school, actually, because like I moved a lot. So I was always the new guy. And like, everybody fucks with the new guy, and I didn't have my growth spurt till like I moved up to North Carolina, like in the beginning of high school.
Now you're as tall as a tree.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that in a different podcast. That his growth spurt, he was like, I went from like, I was like 5'10", 180 to like, then I was like 6'2", 210. And I'm like, you were already huge, dude. You were already big to begin with.
For real.
No, I was pretty small in like middle school and stuff like that. I was just chunky, but Yeah, I don't know. Fuck, what was I gonna say? But
You were talking about being bullied. Sorry.
oh yeah, just got bullied a lot, and I think about it. I'm like, man, I'll fuck those dudes up. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're watching our
On
RP
Facebook, like
podcast,
right now.
Yeah.
I do bare knuckle boxing. You can be my opponent. We can do it for sport.
They come in all shapes and sizes too.
Where are you, bullies?
Yeah, I know. You just want to like, I don't know. Like, obviously, I don't give a shit anymore. I am who I am now, but it wouldn't be. I don't know if I have a bad day. Like, man, I'd love to punch that guy.
If you're gonna punch somebody, yeah. If you're gonna do it to somebody.
But
Oh my gosh, I'm thankful for all of those people in my life, but
No, truly.
I know that there's still more out there, and there's kids suffering, and sometimes they like just don't make it, dude. So like,
and now times it's like, I don't know. I feel like back in the day it was a little more simple. Mm-hmm. Nowadays people are getting brutal. Like they're getting super creative with like fucking with people, you know, and like it gets to to the point where it's online, you know, and maybe they get a picture or a video of somebody doing stuff and they just cause like, it's not just everybody in the school that knows your shit or is fucking with you. It's like, it can be nationwide. Like you're going viral just by, something
it used to
happening.
be your ugly Marty hates you. Good luck.
And now the whole world can fucking know like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That sucks.
Tilt your mic down for me a little.
Oh, excuse me. Like,
You messed up.
Well, yeah, no, either leave it where it was and tilt it down, or bring it down and
More
leave it.
importantly, am I doing better than he is?
You are actually.
Okay, cool.
I don't know what happened to him. Joe his awareness level just fell off.
it's been like a week, okay?
Yeah.
We're getting riled up.
We're getting fired up. We just want to punch bullies. Let's just.
So you said you were bullied out of town, so you went to college.
Well, I wanted to point out something too. Like
Yeah.
I think when I was talking about like being in the kitchen, I remember this distinct moment where I was like, why am I listening to my family about my body? And I remember and it happened a couple instances afterwards, and it kind of concluded my assessment in my head. I was like, I really should not listen to them because one, they don't eat healthy. They don't work out. They don't, their stressors are out of this fucking world. Like,
Yeah.
And then, it would be like one day I would come in and they'd be like, oh, your legs are so big. Like that was my biggest thing. Like if somebody told me my legs were big, I would literally starve myself for a month and run and like just eat myself alive. And then sometimes it was like, oh, your legs are too small. And then I would just be like, I can't please anybody here. So
That's shitty.
yeah. And I mean, and I've addressed this with them, how like negatively impactful that has been in my life, but that's why I ran from home. I did not want to be in Pennsylvania anymore.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense because it's like excuse me, this one group of people, your family, that should embrace you and make you feel at home. They were not.
Right.
So you're also getting fucked with at school, and then them, and it's just like, where's the place
Can't
for
get
me?
away from it. Yeah.
Where can I escape to? So that's pretty terrible. But I mean, you end up running away.
Yeah.
You ran away. You got in a relationship. You're working a few jobs. Like, tell us about that.
Yeah. So I initially left town because I was still in love with, my ex. I was with him for my entire high school career. And at some point, like things just went really south. I'm assuming it's after I hit my head off a brick wall to try to see if he would stay and take care of me. And I know it doesn't work like that, but that was the one thing I was like, please help me, be there for me. But that didn't happen. And then he, you're a psychopath. There's something wrong with you. I've been dating this girl for a long time. And I hope one day I wake up and drive down the road and you're dead in the ditch.
Yikes.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I don't know if this is like a great place for me. And then like, if I would like go out to the bar or whatever, like, or like go to like a frat, because I couldn't go to the bar then. So it was frat parties. But if I saw them at frat parties, it was like torture. They were like nasty to me, like the whole group, and the whole group just followed like the leader, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is. They'll believe their story. And, I mean, I wasn't really doing myself justice hitting my head off a brick wall at the time, but, moved away to state college. And I worked 3 jobs, and I met my next boyfriend, but he was like just a really good friend of mine, really, really good friend. And I was approached with an ultimatum after not even healing from like all of that trauma from the first relationship.
Yeah.
I wasn't not ready, but I was like, I don't want to lose this person because he makes me laugh every single day. All of these things.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was awesome. And so I said, yeah. And we started a relationship. He turned 21, said I was clingy because again, I was like, he's going to abandon me. He's going to abandon me. This isn't going to work out. So you reach out and you try to just suck everything dry so you can get everything out of it you can before they leave.
Yeah.
And here's the next fucking trauma. he sent me back to Bloomsburg and said that you need to be with your family, and we hadn't broken up yet. And then he called me about a week later after I went back, and because he made me quit my 2 of my jobs because he was insecure. And yeah.
But then he said you were too clingy.
So
Doesn't make any sense.
Right. So I was insecure, or he was insecure. Quit my job at like Abercrombie and Fitch, and the one downtown I got fired from because I was intimidating. I was doing everybody's job. And then he sent me home, like I said, because I didn't have enough money to live there anymore. He told me to go home, and broke up with me 2 weeks later. And then never talked to me again until like, it was like October. And then he messaged me on like New Year's and was like, I want you back. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. But, crazy.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. Like,
So the ultimatum he gave you was that you couldn't be friends anymore?
Or that you had to quit your jobs.
No, like you said they gave you an ultimatum. Like you said you had a friend, like that you were friends, and then he gave you an ultimatum. So was he just saying you're not, like he's not going to be your friend anymore? Basically?
it was like, I'm not your friend, or we're dating.
Yeah, that's fucked.
I was so fucked. I should have been like, what the fuck? But me
That's
in my
not
head.
a good friend. I mean, that's not even a good friend.
I know.
Or a good,
I was so like blinded because I just needed someone. So that was the way that it was.
That's so weird.
That's so weird, dude.
And that was he was 21, you said?
Yeah, he just turned 21.
What was your other job? You said you got fired for one, or like you left because everybody was jealous of you, or you ran the whole show?
You said you were doing everybody's job?
I was, yeah. It was a clothing store, like in like trinket store in downtown State College, Pennsylvania. It was a very, very popular place. And everyone there, like I was the only one that they like wouldn't click with. They really fucked me up one Halloween. Like I passed out like on the sidewalk outside. It was awful. It was an awful place.
Bastards.
Yeah. Like.
So you're talking about Penn State University? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's a big school.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big school.
Did you graduate from there, or?
No, I didn't go to school there.
Okay, where'd you end up going to school? If you don't mind me, or did you even go to school? I don't know.
Well, I did a little bit. So actually, when I left Bloomsburg, the first time I was in school, but I got bullied from just like my boyfriend there, and and his friends. Like they sucked at the time. Fuck it, they sucked. But anyway, I was in school there. I was in college, and I just left, and I didn't know how to do the college stuff, so I just didn't even drop out. So all my stuff just plummeted.
Gotcha. So when the first situation happened, you were in school, but then you left. And then when you were at Penn State, you weren't actually in school, but you were there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So your GPA just like tanked pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, when you just leave like that, you just get zeros for everything, I guess.
Well, that's what happened to me my first time going to college, and it sucked. So my first time going to college, I was like, the first 2 weeks I was in it, and then I made some friends and I started smoking weed, and then I got hooked on pills, and then I'm snorting benzos every day. Like it was fucking terrible.
Can't really be doing algebra while you're.
No, yeah, and then I think the first time I actually studied for an exam was finals, and I'd like snorted an Adderall because someone gave it to me. I'd never taken Adderall before.
How'd you do?
I sure as hell stood up all night, but I didn't retain anything. I was like, who the hell am I? Like I haven't even been to all my classes. Like what the hell is going on? And yeah, so my GPA tanked, and then I took like one class while I was in the military. And so when I went back to school at MTSU, I had obviously being a veteran helped, but my GPA, they're like, oh, well, your GPA didn't start over because you took one class, like you didn't have a 7-year period of no schooling. And I'm like, I took one class. So I was starting from like low as fuck when I started at MTSU.
I was just trying to do something good.
And I'm like, damn it. So because I signed up for some random class while I was deployed.
There's no grace.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I played football in high school as well, and one of the things that I feel like I didn't have very good study habits in general, but my first class was football. It was like strength and conditioning, but I was with the football team studying film. Like, so there's like a semester and a half worth of stuff that I got A's for. So I graduated with honors, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was smart and stuff, but I shouldn't have gotten honors, and I never did homework, never did anything, but it didn't really matter.
Oh my God, I have a relatable story that's hilarious.
And all I was going to say is that whenever I got to college, that don't fly. That does not fly. I just showed up for a test one day. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a breeze. I got a 42. I'd never seen a 42 on a grade in my entire life. I was like, I didn't even know that was possible. I thought they just stopped at 60. Like, what, 42?
I thought I got a 60 for showing up, dude.
Like, golly.
Yeah. You can't charm college professors. They don't do that shit.
Well, and you cannot study is my. Oh
yeah.
You can't just like roll in there like, oh, I'm just so smart. I'm just gonna. And I sat down like, what in the hell is this?
Yeah, they threw you a ton of curveballs.
Good Lord. that semester didn't go well.
What's your
Needless
relatable
to say.
story?
Oh my gosh. The only marking period I ever got honor roll was the very, very last one. And like, what do they just don't pay attention or what? They just serve you up. Like, they're like, we'll send you anyway. We'll make you look good. Like, good luck out there.
Yeah. What's crazy too about my high school was that, about Mount Juliet, was that, we won a bunch of awards for academic, like the best academic school in the state. And like, I just felt like it didn't prepare me for anything. And I was thinking, like, if this is what the best academic school in the state is, like, ooh.
I definitely, I want to get my kids homeschooled. I'm not going to lie. And nowadays there's so many ways to socialize them and stuff and like make them not outcast, like people are like, oh, homeschool. I saw a meme one time. It was like, you're going to homeschool your kid. They're going to be different than everybody else. And the guy's like, that's the point.
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of what I want. And like I train kids in high school and stuff, and they're like, dude, we just go there and sit. Like there's nothing productive. Right. And so I'd like to have a little bit of control of that, and there's, you got YouTube. There's so many resources to teach these kids, and I find it a lot more valuable than like sending them some.
I think it's still join sports leagues and stuff like that, like you said, for socialization and like other things. Like,
yeah.
And there's also like hybrid
and just the
models.
value and moral structure too. Like, that's the one thing, like, I'm not trying to control my kids, but if I can control the value and moral structure as they grow, that's the one thing. Like spiritually, whatever they choose. If they choose whatever career, whatever, like sports, but like just the values and stuff I'm big on. And like, there's none of that in high school nowadays. And, it's deteriorating pretty fast. So,
Well, and when you don't really know exactly what's going on in the classroom, I feel like it's so hard, like, because that your kid's getting broken down and retaught things that like in a specific manner, and they're all getting taught the same thing at the same time. And not all of them are going to be able to retain that information, and they're all going to have different perceptions.
Facts.
Like, of course, like, okay, we all turned out fine. But like, I will say that in this day and age, there's no right or wrong way to do it, but I think the homeschooling thing it's pretty accurate for where we're at right now.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It's like that try to teach a fish to climb a tree and it'll spend its whole life thinking it's stupid thing.
Now, don't get me wrong. There's some, this isn't a bit knock at educators. Like there's a lot of great educators out there that give a shit, that want to do their best. And they probably are doing their best. They go in every day. They're like, I'm trying,
of course.
But they only have so many resources and opportunity to help too. And they can only spread themselves so thin. They got a ton of students. Yeah. So it is what it is. But
I have some teachers on my team, and we have a lot of teachers inside the Fit Fem project, and they are struggling. They don't love their jobs right now. Oh, yeah. And they want to so bad.
Yeah, I don't understand how that I feel like that should be one of the highest paid professions. Like it's so important, and the people that do it are such saints. Like,
and it should be enjoyable, I feel, because like fuck, I'd considered it years ago, and I was like, man, it's an opportunity. I can mentor people, like, and I think a lot of these young minds, they don't come. Maybe a lot of people have terrible family life, their home life sucks. So they need good mentors and good people in their life that they can look up to and, guide them. So I think it'd be pretty rad, but we are going to take our break. This episode is also brought to you by Whitney Weiser Savage. She's a good friend of mine. I'm also good friends with her husband. She's amazing. She's doing a lot of killer stuff. She runs a company called Her Styles, and she's been on this podcast before. Amazing guest. Definitely check that episode out. And what her company does is geared towards all things women empowerment. It's a branch off of the Mind Style events based off lifestyle, brand, and personal development. They incorporate mindset elements into all of their events as well, because like their mantra says, change your life by changing your mindset. They emphasize a life in balance, individual growth, and personal development, and how those things align with your personal life. And that's what it's all about, is creating that balance in order to help you improve. The initiative of Her Style is to uplift and connect women worldwide by promoting positivity, self-love, leadership, and personal development. Her Styles also has an event coming up in Belize, January 23rd to 28th, and tickets are limited, so definitely check it out. The retreat is titled Building Influence in Belize, and Whitney's talked about this a few times. It's at this beautiful resort. There's all kinds of activities that got going on, so it's a really wonderful time for you to be able to grow personally, professionally, possibly even spiritually, but also take a pretty rad vacation and enjoy paradise. This focuses on the importance of knowing yourself, finding your identity, and bringing your brand into alignment with your life and who you are. So definitely check that out. I think
I mean, if I was a woman, I would definitely go do this event in a heartbeat. Sounds like an awesome time, and I already know the influence that Whitney has over women, and I think it's a really positive thing to look into. You can find this event it's on Instagram at Herstyle, HERSTYLE, and you can also check out Whitney's page, IG, at Whitney Weiser Savage. And that way you follow both these things, you'll get to know her a little better, what she's got going on, and a little bit more about the event. So I think it's well worth it. We're going to be promoting this a little bit on some of these episodes. And yeah, definitely go check it out.
Let's roll. So we were talking about homeschool and we were talking about education, all that stuff. But moving forward with your story, you ran away, 3 jobs, boom,
Yes.
relationship, broke up. You moved back home. Well, then broke up. Moving forward, you somehow met your husband, current boyfriend, or your boyfriend at the time. Tell me about that after moving back to Bloomberg.
Yeah. So I was already an hour and a half back east on 80, chilling back in the town that I tried to escape from, and the people I tried to escape from. God, oh my gosh, what a crazy thing to think about. Then out of the woodworks came Oscar.
Oscar.
Yeah, Oscar. And he had disappeared through because he was a friend. We had met really early on when I had started dating the other person. And
So you met him at State or whatever in that area? Okay.
yeah, he disappeared off the grid.
Oscar just...
Yeah. And then when when he found out that this other guy had broken up with me, he came out of the woodworks and he's like, hey, that guy's an idiot. And we had, I didn't even think about it. And so I just started to, get to know him when I would drive back and forth again an hour and a half. And eventually we got together and it was I wasn't really fully healed. I don't think from the 4-year relationship in high school. And then this one, it just was just fucking a mountain of garbage.
Of course.
And so I had no idea who I was, all these things, and still very insecure about my physical appearance and myself. Didn't, like I said, I didn't know who I was. I still don't, we're just still figuring out little pieces.
Yeah.
But we ended up getting together on February 22nd, and we got married about 5 years ago. We moved to Nashville, and that's where we got married and, got all the cats and things like that. But it was a couple of years. It was a couple of years after we started. I think it was actually maybe a year-ish. We moved to his parents' house. We would get up at 4 a.m. so we can go to work in New York City because he had gotten a job there right outside.
So this is when y'all moved to New Jersey, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had to find a better option for travel, and I joined a gym there because I was just obsessed with trying to bring my legs down. Still, I was I'm only going to do leg day and cardio, and drink only Cellucor. Yeah, literally, Cellucor was the shit then.
It used to be
What is that?
as supplements. I think where's Cellucor at now? They still make supplements.
Is that the company makes C4?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I actually still use C4.
C4? No, it's an OG. It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah.
I used it one time, not a couple years ago, and didn't work.
I've never tried though. Well, they have C4 in an energy can in the freaking gas station. In the gas station now. I've never tried it though.
Oh yeah.
They do now.
Seems like that would be a little too intense for an energy drink, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Nah.
Yeah, actually, truly. I don't know if you're trying to get a ticket while you're driving.
Yeah, that's what I'm
or,
saying. You're just just sipping on C4 down the road, just for no reason.
That's how I drive anyways. It would just go with me. I'm like, hey, Adderall and energy drinks. Let's get on the road.
This motherfucker's driving backwards.
Yeah, spinning, doing circles, and going forward at the same time.
Okay, so I joined this gym. And I was only focusing on legs and stuff like that. So I was in that hack squat, that fucking hack squat. That's why I have knee problems. No. But somebody had come up to me one day and they were like, do you do bikini competitions? And I was like, no, sir. I was like, I don't want to get into that. Because I immediately was like, are we pouring water on me if I put a white t-shirt on? I don't know what you're talking about.
It seems to be a general consent, with the ladies that come on here about competing. A lot of them have just been approached.
I was about to say the same thing.
But it's hard to tell if it's serious or if you hitting on me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You never know.
That's crazy that's how it happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it laid out the rest of my life.
It's just wild.
Crazy.
That one moment.
And it's also wild too that you have to like say, like in that moment, you have to not be like closed-minded to it, I guess, and not assume that the dude's just being creepy, right? You have to be like, wait, what are you talking about here? And then as they explain, being open-minded to, like, okay, you're actually being for real, you know?
Did you even know what it was when he said something to you?
No, I had no clue.
Oh, so she was clueless. Like,
That's what Whitney said. She had no idea what it was either.
You're trying to get me in a bikini? You just met me?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I feel like I would think that they're being weird.
I mean, I've had guys do that to me before. I'm like, slow roll.
I was like, I work at a bar. I'd eat like deep fried potatoes for lunch and drink wine before I leave. Like, there's no way I'm not getting in a wet, you know?
I love my wine. Anyways.
So he, I was like, can you like explain that a little better? Cause I'm a little offended. And he did. And there was a show 8 weeks later and I was like, you know what? Let's see what this is. And I started training for it and I just started to shift my diet a little bit and a little bit went a long way. And all I did was I just started eating a little bit cleaner. And, I wasn't counting macros, like weighing my food, nothing like that then. But if you're going from 0 to something, it's going to make an impact.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like, stress-wise, cognitively, digestion-wise, like that's going to change.
Yeah, and that's something I touch on with clients. A lot of personal trainers will start working with people and then just give them this real, especially lifestyle people, this stringent diet. Mm-hmm. Oh, this, and like, but those clients don't last that long. When I start with somebody, I'm like, hey, what are your habits? Like, do you drink soda every day?
Yeah.
Okay, let's work on that.
Do you know what water is?
Yeah, let's work on the little basics. And like once they see the results that they get just from cutting out certain things or adding in certain things like water or cutting out Coke or whatever, then they're like, okay, well, let's work on it. Let's take another step. Let's eliminate this thing and create another better habit. So it's a gradual build because it's lifestyle. Like you got to make it a lifestyle. Most people don't want to eat like bodybuilders. Regular people, they don't. But anyways, it's just one of those things that goes along with what you were saying about those little steps.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a point where it can get extreme, but I think it still is like a gradual process. I don't think going from 0 to 110 is ever a great idea.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some repercussions from it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that then.
Of course.
And I ended up, I went to the show, I did the whole thing. I was like, the spray tan was like just beyond me. Back then, like if you ate food on show day, it was like not good. Like you were definitely going to lose and get really, really fat. And I did my own makeup. Like there were so many weird like stereotypes that I was like trying to defeat that day. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I was like, I'm really nervous. All of these other girls have like 6-pack abs. I just shouldn't be here. And I just like crumbled. I literally crumbled. And before, like I did all this, I said bye to the people I had met backstage because I was there by myself. I didn't bring any, I didn't like do this with friends.
Of course.
Because I was like, for the first time in my life, I was like, you're literally looking at all of your self-esteem and body image issues right in the fucking face. And you're going to take that shit on stage. Are you fucking crazy? Like that was mind blowing to me.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, were you proud of yourself after the fact?
Well, all right, let's see here. Let's see if I can figure out if I was or I wasn't. I decided to get in line to get on stage, and then all of a sudden that it just like, you could just kind of feel it, like your body just gets like heavy and you're just like, oh fuck, I don't know what I'm doing here. Anxiety, da da da. Yeah. And because everything came back, everything that I was suffering from, it just came back in that one instant. And I grabbed my stuff and I left. I went out into the audience where all my family and stuff was. Yeah. And I was sitting out there and I was watching the show. I was already like eating because, like the self-sabotage. I was like, if I eat this whole roll of rice cakes, I definitely won't go up there because I'm going to look different. Da, da, da. So I was like sabotaging myself really fast. And all of a sudden, the woman that I had met backstage, she was figure. And I saw her like coming up the aisle and I was like, what is she doing? I was like, why is she looking for me? And she literally, like even with my mom there, she grabbed my arm and she said, you're coming backstage, you're getting back in line. She's like, you're going to be up as soon as you get back there though. And I was like, I literally, like I started crying. And
you're like, shit, I ate the rice cakes.
Yeah, I was like, I ate like a whole thing of rice cakes. It turns out like you can't even tell.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of energy, within the next half hour. But I got back there And I got on stage, and obviously that you black out. It's just a lot of trauma, you know. I just blacked out.
Will you bring that microphone for me?
Oops, sorry. I got there blacked out. You know, that's the typical thing. It's just a lot of anxiety. And, of course, like with my traumas, just kind of like icing up on there too, on that crazy cake. Then I didn't even know how call outs went. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And here I was just like 8 weeks later, and I got first place in my class. And so you can imagine, like, I went backstage and I was like, what the hell just happened? I don't think I did any of this right. Yet I still got first place. So in my head, I was like, maybe you're actually like kind of good at something. And the crazy part is it's because I did so much suffering with my body for like years, like literally like so long, that I was like kind of convinced that like maybe if I just continued to do it, that might help me with my stuff.
Yeah. And shout out, well, I don't know, maybe shout out to the lady for like coming to get you.
Yeah, Deborah Rosen.
You know, Deborah, shout out to her.
We still talk.
For holding you accountable and be like, no, you're going to do this. Because the thing is I don't know, there's things maybe I haven't done in life. I look back on it, I'm like, man, I should have just fucking done it. And now I'd usually just dive head first, you know. I'll assess the situation, but I usually just like, screw it, let's live.
Like, what can happen? Like, what?
Worst case, you know, you get last place, but you still put yourself out there. You like something about like just getting up there on stage after you've worked towards it is something to be proud of, whether you win or lose, you know, like I think that's how people should approach like their initial competitions, right?
Yeah.
Like I competed once back in when I was like 23 or 22, but I got back from deployment and I took nutrition real serious and I did a show. I didn't win shit, but I was just like, fuck yeah, Joe, you did this. Like you put yourself out there. You've always had this body image stuff going on and, you know, you got abs, you look the best you ever have and you went and did the thing. And like, that to me, I was just fucking stoked. I was like, I did it.
Right.
Oh, yeah. You know?
That's awesome.
But it's just the experience that like meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's important to fully, like, if you're going to do something, you need to full ass it, like fully immerse yourself in it.
Yeah.
The shit of it, the fucking fun of it, whatever it is, like you need to fully immerse yourself in it or you're not going to know if it's for you or not for you.
It's like we were talking about the headquarters. Like that was one of the main reasons of doing it is like it's making me full ass it or whatever.
Full ass it.
Go balls to the wall, you know, just like I'm in it. There's shit that sucked, but for the most part, I love every bit of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, you got it, but that's the only way you're going to know. And like today, I'm still like, I love every bit of this. Yeah, it's stressful, but you know, it makes you appreciate it a lot more down the road as well. But
yeah. I mean, this is your empire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We're all building our own empires, man. And then when we all get our empires together, can you imagine?
I'm going to take over the world. That's the goal.
So I would say like my first show, it was more like me like coming at my traumas a little bit. And then the second show, I was like, oh shit, all these girls look really freaking good. And I had just done novice the first time. So I was like, you know, because I'm a newbie or I got first place, cool. I can graduate. I'm going to go do open now. And you can't do novice anymore after you place first in it.
Yeah.
And my class was like 20 girls. So I was like, I think I did okay. But then I did the second show and that was like the comparison game. I was like, okay, I'm like never going to place here. And I was like, but what's the worst that can happen? I hate myself for the entire time and then go out and get first place. I'm like, oh, okay. So let's just go see if my theory was right. And I went out and I got third place in open. And I was like, that's when I was like, shit, maybe I am good at this. And all I did going into that show was it's just a couple of weeks difference from the first one. I was like, I just changed my habits a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, maybe did more cardio or more weight. I don't remember exactly what I did, but I do remember each and every time I learned more, I retained more, absorbed more, and utilized more. I just became a lot more resourceful, equipping myself with a lot more tools. And then I went into one more show. So it was 3 years, or three shows in the 1 year. The very first year that I didn't even know what this was.
Yeah.
Somebody was like, do you do this? And I was like, no. But at the very next one, I won overall. So
holy shit. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm a hot shot now.
Yeah. I was like, I think I'm doing good. And again, like I was saying how my thoughts about myself were changing because I was finally good at something. Like I wasn't good at high school. I wasn't even good at loving myself. I wasn't good at good college. I wasn't good at relationships. I wasn't good at like having a healthy family dynamic. Like I wasn't good at anything in my head.
So this was like, holy shit, I'm good at something.
Yeah. So you can just tell that I was like, that's why it became my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Of course.
But can we all just like take a second and remember that I still have all of this shit in my life and my personal life and emotional life that I did not address yet?
Yeah, that you haven't even confronted that stuff. You haven't felt it out.
I just grabbed it and I just put it in my pocket and I started competing for 9 years.
You're like, let's focus on this because this feels good. I'm good at it. Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, I think that's the case with a lot of people though. They just, I don't know. People don't want to face their traumas or confront of you. You know, I did that for the longest time, and then I eventually had to, whether I liked it or not.
Yeah, and and you pick up more shit along the way.
Yeah, you do. But then as you go, you learn how to appreciate it, and you just feel those things out as they come, rather than just let it bottle up.
Right.
At least that's what I've done.
Yeah.
So, you competed for like 9 years. So, okay. First comp. That's like that's a history of you competing and stuff, and then you move shortly after that, and tell us. Yeah.
Okay, so we moved from Newark to another town just to like kind of save some money in Pennsylvania, and I qualified for my first Olympia, 2016.
Okay.
Yes, 2016. I did 11 shows that year, so I was the first one. First of all, I was very, like, when I started getting into it, I had the help of a coach named Adam Atkinson of See You Later Leaner, and he taught me a lot of stuff about flexible dieting. And not a lot of people were utilizing that at that, like, they just didn't trust it. It was bro diet or no diet. And I was the one that was like, I can't live like that. I was like, I grew up with like ding dongs like in my diet every day. And Dunkin' Donuts and McDonald's. I was like, I still like that stuff.
Of course.
I like M&Ms. I like brownies. I like all of that stuff. So I started like just exploring that and understanding macros, things like that. So I was like the first IFBB pro to really, like one of the first to utilize flexible dieting and do it really well. It was kind of, people were like kind of like stumped.
You're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. And then in that same year, I also competed 11 times, and that was unheard of too.
Yeah.
Now it's like people run themselves into the ground, but
I'll tell you what, 11, I was just thinking about that, 11 shows in 1 year.
I had 4 shows
insane.
in 1 month. Every single weekend I was somewhere else competing.
Yeah. I hear people say they're going like, oh man, I'm doing my 4th show this year or whatever. And I'm like, man, that sounds like a lot, but 11 is pretty hefty load.
Yeah. And that was including the Olympia.
That's like 1 a month.
Yeah, so I did 1 in March, and then from May, June, July, and August for the rest of them.
So we were just in prep for months.
Yeah, but the thing was too, like I was eating like personal DiGiorno pizzas going into that Olympia because my metabolism was chaos.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, it was nuts. So much that like it didn't matter what I ate to get ready for the Olympia, my body wasn't even responding.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I wasn't, doing any cardio. I was just lifting and just trying to eat and just trying to stay afloat. But I got all my points to go. I got knocked out right before and I was exhausted. I definitely had like some weird adrenal stuff going on. I was tired. I was sore. My joints were terrible. I couldn't think straight. Like I had drilled myself into the ground. Like it's like once you slow your roll a little bit, the momentum slows down. You're like, the body's like, oh, we're not in motion anymore. So we're not going to be in motion, period.
So it's burnout.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. And then I got knocked out of the points and I was like, motherfucker. I was like, I am so close to going to the Olympia. And I tried all year. Literally, my grandma died that year. My Nana got cancer. Like my grandmother died and I literally spoke at her funeral. She died Wednesday. I spoke at her funeral on Friday and competed the next day, like to get to the Olympia. So I was like, I'm not going out this year without fucking swinging. So I booked my ticket to San Antonio and I was broke as shit. Like I was just a coach, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Charging $200 like for like three months of coaching back then. And $1,000 to get the hotel room. And I did my own tan and makeup and stuff like that. I was pretty resourceful there. And I ended up winning it. So I got my free ride to the Olympia no matter what. I only needed second or first place to get my points and I won. So, that video was very emotional. for everyone, I think, because I think that they knew, that I wanted it so badly. Obviously, I think everybody did, but I think they were like, she needs it. She only had 1 point to go.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting to the Olympia, and it was just, it was an amazing experience. Being at the Olympia was awesome, but I didn't feel like myself because I was so ran into the ground.
Of course.
But the energy and everything was so good. Like, you get to the Olympia and you go into the Orleans hotel and you smell the cigarette smoke and you just know you're at the Olympia. Like, it's just like those things, like the sensory things that you remember, and like the sounds of like the casino, and it's all like.
I bet it's a hell of an experience, especially like how many people could say they get on stage at the Olympia,
Exactly.
That's the goal, you know? Like, most people just want to make it to that stage.
Right. Yeah. It was, I fought very, very, very hard for it.
Yeah, obviously.
And then I crashed and burned for a while. I got, I was really, really ill for a while. And then I hired another coach who helped me back into that. And I ended up going into the Olympia that same year. I got second all year long, second. I got the points to go in. So I only qualified for the 2017 Olympia on points alone. I didn't have a win that year at all.
Okay.
And I got 4th place at the Olympia. So if that says anything for anybody that's like bitching and complaining about not getting fucking 1st place or an overall, shut your fucking mouth, get over yourself, and just keep working. Because like, I literally did not get 1st place all year long, but that 2nd place is so fucking consistent that like, maybe just give yourself the benefit of the doubt, like that you're only going to get beat again by those people. Maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you've beaten a lot of other people to get second.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I got 4th in the world that year. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. And then you got to understand too that like, this is all based off of, you can do your best, right? Like, you can do the diet and you can do all the things and train as hard as you can. Mm-hmm. You can give it 100%. But at the end of the day, it's up to the people sitting there in front of you, what place you get. You know what I'm saying?
It's that 30 seconds that you're up there.
So to be so hard on yourself for not getting first, it's like, man, like, you did everything you could. It's not like, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, that was up to them at the end of the day. That's what they saw and what they decided. But you did all you could. So just be proud of that. You had a 1st place mindset going into it.
That's literally all you need.
Yeah.
Because things can change on the fly so fast.
Yep.
And I'm not saying like that I would ever want this to happen to somebody, but like, people, like, cortisol is a real motherfucker. Like, if somebody gets stressed out the show day morning and, they're, prepared to freaking win the Olympia, like, that could not swing in their favor. But you better be ready. Like, don't count yourself out ever.
Exactly.
That's super silly.
I'll never do it.
People do it all the time.
No, they do. They totally fucking...
They sabotage themselves, and I did it. That's how I know. I've seen it, and I felt it.
Yeah. I've been there before, too, at times. But it's part of it.
It is. It absolutely is.
And so going from that, you competed, like, how did you handle that 4th place finish for the Olympia?
So unfortunately, it kind of destroyed me. I know I wasn't, Courtney King. I wasn't at the top of my game. I wasn't Miss Olympiad. Or was it Courtney King that year or Angelica? I'm not sure. I think it was Courtney. No, it was Angelica. Sorry. But you guys remember Courtney King's whole story. I mean, the pressure of just being up there. No,
I don't.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, the pressure of just being up there, like, top notch. She was younger, and I think she went through a really hard period of time where she just had a lot of pressure on her to, be seen as Miss Bikini Olympia while she was still growing, and trying to influence people to do things the right way. And I think that was really hard. But anyway, that happened for me in 4th place. So I can't even imagine what a 1st place win at the Olympia would feel like, all the pressure.
Yeah.
Like, I completely turned off. I mean, that's kind of like when my relationship, I think, started really going south, because I really turned off. Like, we didn't have...
With Oscar?
Yeah, yeah.
Were you living in Nashville yet, or what?
Yeah, we were in Nashville. I think, yes. Yeah, Antioch. Yeah, saving money.
Great place.
Great place. Best place ever. Yeah, I drove through there the other day, and I was like, this energy is so weird.
Yeah, it's
just different.
I drive through some places where I was doing, your hood rat things with your friends when you're younger and stuff. And sometimes I drive by some of those places or I think about some of the stuff, and I'm just like, oh, dear God. Like, I would never in a million years be caught fucking anywhere near some of the places I used to go all the time.
And it is not based off of what other people told me. It is based off of what I see.
Oh yeah, my own experience for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
We've all got our stories, our Antioch stories. But hey, it gives us a little bit of character. And
Hey,
here
there
we
you
are
go.
talking about it.
100% it does.
Antioch is taking
100%.
up space today.
There it is.
Yeah, right.
There it is.
Where do you live in? You live in Murfreesboro or Nashville now?
Nashville.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You like it?
Yes. Yeah. But I'm moving soon. We'll get to that.
Okay, cool. Nashville's too big for me. I'm not a big city guy.
Yeah, I don't think I could live down there either.
I like where I'm at now, like on the outskirts of Murfreesboro. Cool.
Yeah.
But I'd like to live a little bit further out on some land. That's the dream right there. But
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at places in Manchester right now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's definitely out there a
Yeah.
little bit. Now it's beautiful out that way. I want to look out Manchester, Shelbyville, like somewhere around there. But
I want to be out in the sticks.
yes,
Like a little gremlin, like nobody come out.
yeah, like I don't have a neighbor to look at. Like
just don't-
nothing against people.
I don't like thinking about like if I wanted to go to the grocery store and having to drive like 10 miles. That's a little bit too much for me.
You do once a week, just
And just-
haul
yeah,
ass
just-
at the grocery store and hope
Get a
for the
freezer. You got to have a freezer so you can you can buy more than a week's worth of stuff at a time.
Yeah,
best. And snacks.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I definitely know people that do, family members that do it and stuff. But well, I'm in Lebanon, and that's about as out there as I think that I could go.
And it's not even really out there anymore.
Not really. I mean, where I'm at is right next to the interstate, so I can pretty much pop over whenever. But my mom lives on the other side of Lebanon, and you can't really get. It's hard to get anywhere from there because you have to drive 15 minutes to get to an interstate, right? But they also have a lot of stuff over there. I don't really have anything on my side, so I have to go over there or I have to go down.
You're already struggling. You're literally already struggling. I get my groceries delivered. I'm not going to talk.
No, it works. It works. It'll work out.
So it's definitely going to be an adjustment for me. I will think of you.
Yeah, right.
Definitely do.
I'm like, you're right.
Well, we can start hunting if you got a nice chunk of land. I don't know if you're into like hunting.
I mean, I will. I
Never been
think.
hunting. I'm a hunter. I'm like really stoked for hunting season coming up.
You literally just got so aside yourself and giddy. I love it.
Oh yeah, rifle season starts here in a couple weeks, and I'll be out there. Just I don't know, something about like just packing up all my shit,
Yeah.
getting in my gear.
It's the ritual of it. You
spraying myself down like to not smell, and then you get out there. It's like
It's very primal.
oh, and it's dark, and I'm just like I'm going to my spot, and then I just like sit there in the dark, and it's cold. There's nothing around me. There's nobody around me, and I get to watch the sun come up, and I'm just like, it's such peace right there.
Yeah.
And then you may or may not get a deer, but it's just the whole experience to me is fun. And then when you do get a deer, you do the whole thing yourself, and you get the meat and all that, and then there's pride in that too because you're hunting your own
Yeah.
food, which to me is very powerful as well, and it's good food. So
No animal dies in vain, and you're a very ritualistic person. So I
Yeah.
mean, I can see that being a really, really cool experience.
yeah, I enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to it. But anyways, if you
Especially
get a nice
solo.
chunk of land, you can sit on the back porch. You're like, hell yeah, let's get my deer. I don't even need to go to the grocery store. So
Yeah, I don't know what deer are gonna pop up, but I think I'll probably be friends with them before anything.
yeah,
I'll befriend them. They'll come into my house.
I just show up. I'm like, Casey, watch out.
Yeah, right.
Like, no, I couldn't do this without Logan. I always tell
shit.
people this story. I'm like, listen, at first I was like, Logan, you're just gonna teach me all the things. I'll send it to you for editing, but I'll learn how to do all this shit. And then I saw everything goes into it, and he's got to do the cameras and that. And I'm like, dude, I would totally butcher this fucking podcast if you had me running around doing all that.
It'd be a lot to do.
It'd be a lot to do. So
It's like I told somebody before, it'd be like being like filming a TV show, like you're the actor and you run the
Yeah.
cameras and the audio stuff,
So I just focus on the conversation and not all that shit. But so you're saying you were trying to be like this prime example, really cool, but you end up being real uptight and all that stuff. Like, yeah, moving forward from that.
Yeah. So I would say that's kind of where our relationship dynamic changed. And I was definitely more or less not myself. And as I was like, we just moved to Nashville and things were getting cool. People would come to see us. And, I was like shut down.
Yeah.
And we stopped communicating as well. Like we weren't intimate, like all of these things. Like it just started we were so far, like we could be in the same room together, but we were a million miles away from each other. And I think because he didn't have the resources to figure out how to help me and I didn't know how to come and meet him where he was, like,
Yeah.
it just didn't work. It just wasn't pretty.
Of course.
I mean, and then going into like all of that, you,
Bring that mic around for me.
if you're not intimate, you know, with your husband and you want to be, it's really hard on you emotionally, cognitively, like your health declines. Like it's bad.
Intimacy is huge. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I spiraled.
I've been into relationships where that's like lacked, and it's just like, God, people don't understand how far that goes, you know?
Yeah. I mean, especially when you have like, you want that emotional connection. I mean, I lost it with myself, so how can I expect it to have it with us? But
Yeah.
when you lose that emotional connection, that intimacy ends. For me, it's not just a physical thing. I'm sure that you understand that.
Yeah, of course. And you know, I talk about this, you know, a lot. And some people disagree with it, but I think more people are starting to understand because we observe boomers and stuff, right? You know, and I talk about a lot of them lose that intimacy, whether, you know, because you hear a lot, oh, once you have kids, like that's everything. Like you're not focused on a relationship more.
Definitely what you hear all the
But
time.
I truly, truly believe that like I'm going to have children, right? But I'm always going to put my significant other first because the children wouldn't be there if it wasn't for them.
Right.
And if like you lose that and you put all the focus in your children, then that emotional connection goes away, and then you're stuck in this marriage where you're miserable. But then you're doing it for the children, and you're together for them, as opposed to
And
like
they feel that. The kids feel that.
as
They
do. As opposed to like keeping that friendship, that's your best friend,
Yeah.
and making that better. That's just going to make the kids happier, and it's going to make everything a lot easier. But a lot of people just think you're supposed to like re-gear your focus. It's like, no, that's an addition, but you need to stay best friends, or you need to stay true to your relationship. So
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when they're gone too? If you let that go,
Exactly.
yeah, and then it's like, fuck, you know, like, do I got to get a
house
secret
get-
massage somewhere?
that
You
house-
know, like
that
people do
house
shit
gets-
like that.
the
Yeah.
house gets real quiet real quick.
Yeah, fuck
Yeah,
that.
it does.
No.
Yes, it does. Ew.
I love my relationship, so I'll never put that on the back burner. It's awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And
Well,
so,
when your significant other becomes the gap, it affects everything in your life.
yeah.
Like when they're the one that you jump over instead of like running to, like that's when everything goes to shit. So
It's an interesting way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. that
yeah,
is
like
well put.
how can you expect your kid to have a healthy overall well-being if we can't even get this dynamic to work?
Exactly.
Like, and that's with everything in life. Like, I mean, I only have cats, but like they know the energy in the house. They
Yeah.
know. They know.
They're like, what's going on with mom?
Yeah, and if there's neglect in the house, or there's like, you know, like just emotional trauma, things like that, like they know. They're not like it's energy. Everything's energy. They get it.
Yeah, they do get it. Cats especially.
Whether they want to or not. Like that, they get it.
Cats are weird. They just know shit.
Yeah.
They got a different sense.
Yeah, they're demon fighters, man.
Hey, I've read that.
They clean house.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they sleep all the time.
Because they're busy. They got a lot of shit going
They're like,
on.
listen, guys, like while y'all are sleeping, I'm fighting demons.
For real.
Sons of
You don't even
bitches.
know.
And I'm like, yeah, well, you could at least just stop flinging shit.
Yeah, for real.
All right, just
about
don't
just
fling
leave-
shit at the demon. Just, I don't know.
Figure out a
That's
more
my
efficient-
problem.
Stop bringing the shit in here, and I won't fling
A
shit.
more efficient way.
Oh my god.
But so you're talking about losing that intimacy and all that. So
Yeah, I mean, it got to the point where, I mean, that we grew apart a lot, and we started focusing on our distractions. And so it was me like building the Fit Femme project and growing Team Casey, and him with his job, and you know, then like COVID hit, and for some reason employers think that because we're working from home that we have to work more. I don't know what that means. Doesn't even make sense because I feel like I'm, you know, more productive at home. So why don't we work less? But no, it's
So did you have like a job while you were building Fit Fam project and Team Casey? You said like did you have another job?
nope. So after, I mean, we had the COVID and things like that, and I decided in December of 2020, the 2020 Olympia. Going into that, I had a lot of emotional and personal trauma. Just a lot of abandonment came back with a lot of these. I was having a really hard year because my relationship was terrible. My relationship with myself was terrible. Like, how can I expect anything from him if I can't give it to myself first?
yeah,
And I didn't realize that until after I started doing therapy. But everything just kind of went south. And I would say that the 2020 Olympia was my sign that I was like, you are hurting. You need to stop distracting yourself with competing, because now like competing is not a distraction. Competing is part of the problem.
yeah.
And you did this to yourself. And so now I'm like, oh shit, I had to look all this shit in the face, all the stuff that I, stopped looking at 9 years ago,
Yeah.
all the stuff now. Like I really have to take record of you have to take record of your life and start owning your shit and taking responsibility. And fuck, that was disgusting and hard and icky. And yeah, it was really, really bad. And I wrote down before that I was in like anger management classes, and it was because I was so expressive. That's why I was like hitting my head off of stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
So all of those tendencies started coming back.
Oh shit.
Punching myself in the face, in the stomach, in the leg, and like leaving bruises on my body, and purposely like banging my head off the floor. And, Oscar had to watch me do that to myself for a long time, especially that year after the Olympia, so 2021. And I was like, okay, now if you're going to address your personal stuff, the FitFem project is you. It's you at a scalable, highly reachable level. Like you can put all of your stuff into the FitFem project.
Yeah.
All of these things that you're learning and going through, be vocal about them, share them, because this is what's going to draw people to the FitFem project.
Yes.
And I started doing that. And that shit for me was really, really hard. And I got, inside my head with the anxiety and things like that. And
Because you're worried about what are these people going to think of me?
yeah,
Yeah.
But at some point, I don't know.
I'll tell you, one of the most freeing things is just when you start to feel like, fuck what people think.
Yeah.
Like I care what people think of me with like how I hold myself and present myself and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
there's certain things I do care about, but overall, like as a person, I don't really give a fuck what people think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's liberating. You know what I'm saying? And if you were able to apply that to like your whatever project you're doing, and like, I'm sure we'll get to this too. I'm sure now you don't really care, or it doesn't bother you as much as it did.
No, God, no.
Then you start to see that it's getting so much better, I'm sure, and we'll get to that. But yeah, but at the time you were probably in your head like, fuck, I'm exposing myself, and like
Was not
all
well.
these people can see it, and it's really not playing out how I'd hoped.
Yeah. So in that time I was like trying to grow the FitFem project, but I didn't know how to do it. I was really, really trying, and I drilled myself into the ground. And then I was like, I'm going to invest in a business mentor so I can get this foundation running, so I can make this a more scalable thing, so I can get my message out.
Yeah.
Because it was just sitting bottled up inside of me, festering and festering. And I was like, I don't know how to do it besides Instagram and just sharing my personal stuff, but it's not, there's more to it.
Yeah.
And so I went through that business mentorship, and there was like 83 of us at the beginning, and I think only 5 of us made it to the end.
No shit.
Yeah.
Was it a pretty like tough thing, or was it a lot to keep up with?
Emotionally, it was a lot.
Oh, okay.
It drove me into the ground. I got really sick. But I did get an award. It was definitely my kryptonite, unfortunately.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Fastest scaling. So I did exactly what I came to do. And we got our platform, and I was really, really proud there. But I dealt with the backlash of the fucking masculine mindset of like, just fucking hustle, get it done. You're not unbreakable, stop being a little bitch, get it done.
Yeah.
And I did it, but I definitely paid for it for months afterwards. And then I don't know. And again, like I was still in all of that time, like I had time to focus on my relationship. No.
Yeah.
No, I
So
didn't.
that stayed on the back burner.
Yeah. So with all my other shit I already had in my pocket, like, oh God, this last year has just been like fucking hard. You keep trying, you're like, all right, I got to heal. I got to figure this out. I started therapy, tried to figure stuff out. And I found a therapist that I actually liked, and I felt like he was listening, and it was really cool. Thank God. Then I started getting to this point where I was like, okay, the therapy is working, but now I'm like having all these realizations with all these gaps in my life and all of these childhood traumas I haven't assessed. And I was like, I am a black hole of just a lot of shit, man.
Yeah.
And I had been denying depression medication already for like 11 years. And I decided, I was like, at this point, I was so out of my own body all the time that I didn't feel real. And when you don't feel real, you question your existence altogether. You're like, what even is anything? What am I? Like, what's my fucking purpose? It doesn't matter. And so you get like those really crazy thoughts of like, what if I didn't exist? It really isn't that big of a deal because I'm not doing well in this. I'm not doing well in this. I'm not doing well in this. This will be fine. I can just hand this off. I've got money in my bank account. Like, I'll just give it to another coach and they'll take my clients. Like,
Yeah.
I went through all of that.
You spiral out of control.
Spiral.
Yeah.
And this would happen all the time. And again, like, the relationship was on the back burner, which was awful. But I decided, like, once and for all, I was like, not feeling real, like, it's not okay. And I have so many people looking up to me, out for me, like true people that have not abandoned me, even though they've heard my garbage and all my stuff. And I mean, there's been plenty of people that I'll tell one little tiny thing to, and they just, you know, and I'm assuming it's just because it's triggering, but yeah, it is. Yeah, it was definitely triggering. That's what I do. Then in the therapy session, he was like, you're going through like depersonalization because you're realizing all of these things have added up over time and you're processing a lot all at the same time. It seems like you didn't really get a chance to do any of this in a step-by-step process. He goes, you're literally just, you're going into your own black hole. And I was like, I don't feel real. I don't feel like a real person. I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
And so I decided to be open to finally trying depression medication.
Okay.
And he put me on the generic version of Lexapro, so escitalopram. And 58% of the population is on depression medication right now, which I was kind of like,
I know quite a few people on it, or that have been on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say a lot of our clients are on it right now.
It's so crazy. 58% you said? 53?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was 2021 maybe.
Probably a little bit more now.
Yeah, I think so. After, COVID and stuff. But I decided to finally try that. But in my head, I was like, I was finally in a place where if I was accepting that medication, I was like, I don't want to be on it forever. I had already started to see some clear visions for the habits and behaviors that my therapist was having me develop. So like journaling, getting stuff out of my head, reading some self-help books or help books, and
just like the 4 Agreements and shit like that, like which honestly are like magic. Like just simple books like that go a long way.
Sometimes it just takes like one paragraph to turn your life around.
You're
sometimes.
Like, oh yeah, without a doubt.
It just, if it resonates, it resonates. But yeah, so I decided I was like, I don't want to be on depression medication for the rest of my life. I want to be the hero of my own story.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on depression medication for the rest of my life. That's not what I want.
Of course.
So that's what I was scared of for that 11 years. And that's what I was denying. Yeah. So my only goal was, I'm going to use this as a catalyst to be the hero of my own freaking story.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like if you don't understand that, then like maybe look inside, because there's this might be super insensitive, but like you might be the problem if you are not looking at the bigger picture.
I mean, that's typically how it goes. Sometimes you just got to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are not willing to do that.
It's icky. It's disgusting.
Yeah. I
mean, oh my God.
I've been grateful. I've been fortunate enough to just mindset wise to not have to really crash and burn like that. Like when I told you I was hooked on pills, all it took was me just like really looking myself hard in the mirror one day. And like, I talked about it a bunch, but like just hating that person I saw and loving myself so much that I wanted to walk away from that specific person, and it was just like this self-realization I had. And fortunately it helped a lot, or just, I'm not gonna lie, like last year, this time I was going through some shit, but like doing a massive mushroom trip, and just closing myself off in the middle of the woods by myself, no phones on or anything. And just like forcing myself to just feel everything was a life-changing thing. But, at the end of the day, like all of these things that I had to face ultimately were just, I was responsible for. And I let it get out of hand and spiral out of control, and I had to face it eventually. And I think we all do, whether it's now or later, we have to face these things. Yeah. So you might as well be proactive and try to like face them and improve them and so on.
That's the word I was looking for. You have to at least give yourself a little bit of grace and be proactive, and like just one little thing at a time.
Yes.
Like, I mean, sometimes it's just owning your shit. Like, I am sad. I am depressed. I am this. I am beaten. I am
Even right now, even today?
I am wounded. Like, no, I'm saying like you, like having a person just own that shit first. The only way you're going to get anywhere is by meeting yourself where you are and going from there. Because everything else is not real.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah. Just own it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are so reluctant on doing so.
Yeah, I know. And like, it's just like covered up by, nice clothes and shit like that. Like that's not going to help, dude. That's going to help while, the 2 hours that you're out drinking cocktails and whatever. So, and hanging out with more fake ass people that are struggling. But that's not real. What's real is it's you. The authentic version of you it's in there and it's wounded. You have to reach in, shake that little kid's hand in there and be willing to help that you have to be willing to help you. Help you feel more safe inside of you.
Oh, without a doubt. And so like by maybe getting on the depression meds, did that help you kind of transition into that mindset for sure? Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. So those are the depression meds helped because I know a lot of times, like sometimes people take them and it makes things worse. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But sometimes it helps. Like you never know what you're going to get, but it's helped you.
Yes.
That's good.
So I decided that when I did it, like I said, I was going to be the hero of my own story, just change my narrative a little bit. I decided to use it as a catalyst. So I was like, I'm going to take these 6 months that I'm giving myself. And if I need more, that's fine. I will make sure that I get more.
Yeah.
I just recently came off of it like 2.5 months ago.
How things been?
Really good.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, because you started working on the other stuff
work
too, like this, and you started working on like the spiritual stuff and whatnot too. And I think
I did the work. I stopped weight training. I stopped focusing on my exterior completely. I stopped buying new clothes. I stopped doing all of that shit. I stopped doing the temporary fixes. I stopped all of it. I stopped doing I couldn't train because I blew this out my back and my neck. Like I couldn't train. Like if this isn't a sign from the fucking universe that you need to like look inside for a second.
Yeah.
I had no choice. Like what was I going to do? I needed growth. I needed change. That's just something I thrive off of.
Yeah.
And I needed a challenge, and because my whole life has been challenging, so I needed a challenge. And that's again like just me trying to figure out why my energies are so unbalanced. And eventually I'm definitely coming more into my more feminine side where I'm able to like understand why there's rest, why we're addressing these things as they come. So kind of like getting into that. And I would love to like do another episode where we get more into that because I think that's something that a lot of hustler women could benefit from today.
Yeah.
But, because it drove me mad, it drove me insane, and it also like drove me into the ground.
And a lot of men could benefit from that. Like, I think the reason
men can definitely benefit from that.
Oh yeah. Past generations, they've like, all right, the men, we have to hustle ourselves in the ground for our family. And yes, like I would do anything for my family, like as a man. Mm-hmm. I think I do traditionally in my mind, I hold myself responsible for like their well-being, but it's also like still understanding rest and just like taking time for yourself or you're going to drive yourself insane.
Yeah.
And that shit's going to
letting
just
your wife take the wheel once in a while.
Yeah. Because like I talked to you last Saturday and I was like, yeah, I'm getting pretty, exhausted because I'd been working week by week, and I'm working 60, 80 hour weeks, with all this, just trying to like constantly make things happen. And come Sunday night after my charity event, I was just like, I could just feel that my body just depleted. And like the following week, I was like, I got up at 5 a.m. I went and trained some clients and I got home. I laid in bed for like 4 hours and I was just like, I'm fucking smoked. Like I just crashed. I told Lydia, I was like, I feel like a piece of shit. She's like, you're the hardest working dude I know. Like just chill, enjoy, take your nap, sleep as long as you need to. You've been busting your ass. And then I was like, fuck it. The whole week, I still lifted, but it was super light. I did this like deload thing and just took care of myself.
Yeah.
I made sure like, man, maybe sometimes I need to take my Sunday needs to be on Tuesday. If I'm working all weekend, I got events and shit.
Yeah.
Or, whatever, like rearrange things because it's so easy to get consumed by it. And then you do get burnt out. And I did a TikTok talking about this too, because I'd seen a podcast clip where the guy said, if you're getting burnt out, you're not passionate about what you do. And I'm like, man, that's fucking bullshit. And I can't stand people like that because like, how are you going to speak for me? 1, 2, I love Relentless Pursuit. Like I've never been so passionate about anything else in my life.
Point.
And guess what? Sunday night, all last week, I was burnt the fuck out.
Yeah.
But it's okay because I took more time for myself and I just made me re-gear my focus. Like, oh man, I got to take care of myself still and like focus on the things that help me recover mentally, spiritually, and all those things because if I don't, then yes, this is this shit's just going to plummet. So,
Yeah.
and that'll happen.
Right. It absolutely will happen.
Yeah. So I think it's valuable for men to kind of like reanalyze how they approach things too, as far as that goes. Just this constant, like, I got to be this masculine tough guy thing is bullshit.
Yeah,
And it makes you suffer, but not in a good way, because a lot of times these guys never learn from it and they spend their whole life doing that.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of men are just, they grow up in a box and they have to be specific ways. There's like a list of things that you can and cannot do, and that is it.
Oh, and same with
Or else
women.
you won't be perceived as like this big, strong man.
Same with women. Yeah. And that's why we got to empower each other.
Yeah.
I think it's a balance.
Yeah.
And we could make things so much better for each other.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the meat suit, man.
Just the meat suit. That's right. Well, how much, let's see, we're getting lower on time. How long have we been recording?
We're about to pass an hour and a half.
Dang, we're getting down there. So we can touch more on this stuff. So this is, like I said, this podcast is more so your story. Next time you come on, we'll just talk about all kinds of random shit.
Yeah.
Too. And and we've definitely done a lot of that. But I do want to finish, like, I kind of want to get to where you're at now. So that way people know you.
We were definitely on our way there for sure.
Yeah. And you're talking about the meds, getting on that. And I think the next thing was you kind of started confiding and like trying to learn how to grow spiritually.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned the muscle medic and,
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I have to kind of bridge this a little bit. The depression medication during that 6 months, that was my focus.
Yeah.
The 5M project was running and it was doing a great job and everybody was on their stuff, and it's a very beautiful place to be, and it was going like a river. And so I was like, I have this time to really focus on me now, while also applying these new habits and behaviors to my business, because you have to immerse yourself. Like, you can't find balance without balancing things.
Yeah.
You can't just find balance by doing one thing. That doesn't make sense.
No, without a doubt.
That's why people are like, competing in life, I want to find the balance. Okay, well, you can't be all in on one.
Yeah.
You have to find balance. You have to integrate them, or it's not going to happen. So you have to force yourself to integrate it, no matter how hard it is. Then you find the balance there. You go, okay, I'll put 3 rocks in this basket today and 7 over here in this basket today.
Yes.
But regardless, we have 10 rocks, and that's the total amount of rocks. Is what I'm trying to say.
Well, you talk, and not to interrupt, but talking about that balance too, like coming into this, before, when I was running out of my house, I was trying to like do all these things, and it was just like, fuck. And RP wasn't where I wanted to be. Right. And of course, like, it's still here, we're still rolling, but I was like, okay, I want to be all in on this. I want to make this it has to succeed. I have a vision of where I want to be. I want it to be massive, all of it. And so I did this, but then now it's like, okay, relearning that balance. Now, how do I like make time for these other things that feed me? Like my relationship, I can't put that on the back burner, So how am I intentional about the time that I give to my woman and, myself at my altar and just different things like that.
Yeah.
So it's just, you got to re-gear it, but you just got to stay aware.
Yeah.
Situations change.
Jesse puts it in a really good way. And he's like, I always try to follow a path in which I honor myself. Yeah. And I feel like in honoring yourself, that's how you can do the best for everybody around you and
without a doubt.
Things that you love.
Of course.
Relentless pursuit.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
So yeah, he says it like every day. It's a great reminder. Okay. So I am developing, I'm going through this process of that 6 months, which like it flew by really fast, keeping these habits and behaviors rolling, adopting new. And at the beginning of this, like I blew out my back in February. So the bulging disc became a lot more difficult. And I reached out to the muscle medic, and him and I started working together, and nothing was really happening. Like, he just could not get my body to do anything. And, we got to know each other a little better. So and he's a great guy. You kind of open up to him, you trust him.
Yeah.
No judgment or anything like that. So I started to respect him, and I started opening up. And as I started opening up and going through all these emotional things and just kind of peeling back the layers, I absorbed what I wanted to, and then the other stuff I didn't. Whatever I needed, I took, and whatever it is. That's how life it goes.
Jesse can lay it on thick too.
He's so articulate.
And if you it's your first time talking to him and getting into the deep conversation, for a lot of people, it's probably like, whoa, what the?
Yeah, because some people don't even.
Where's this guy coming at this way?
He got lucky that I actually think this way.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So
For the audience's sake, we are talking about the same Jesse.
Jesse Mays.
from the
Mays,
podcast.
Muscle Medic. Yes, he's been on here a couple times.
That is who we are referencing.
Yeah. Love you,
Yeah.
Jesse.
Yeah.
But
And then So then we realized that the work was starting to happen. The body was starting to open. We started doing all these things. We started, he put me in the ice bath. Do you want to know how long it took me to get in a fucking ice bath?
How long?
He sat there for 45 minutes as I hovered over the ice bath because for my entire life, I avoided like cold water like the plague.
Yeah.
I had so many opportunities to get in a cold ice bath and I just didn't want to do it. And I think it's because I had a traumatic experience of like immersing myself in because the bottom of that thing is black. I was like, I don't know. Like, I was like, I know it ends. It ends. There's a floor there. But in my head, like I had this whole thing built up. Like fear is just like, it's just this thing like built up in your head and it's crazy. And it's a perception of like, oh my gosh, I like just blew it out of the water, literally. And I dropped in there and it was like over in a flash, but I went into that and I cried, I laughed, I got pissed. Like I went through so many emotions, because I just really didn't want to get in there, but now I saw the benefits of it. And it wasn't even the fact that it was helping me with, it didn't make my body feel any better. It didn't. But for me, I was like, holy shit. I was like, you've been avoiding this for like 15 years of getting in like an ice bath for what? Like, what were you so scared of? And, I mean, that's what he does. If he doesn't trigger you, then like, I don't know, like you need to like, I feel like he helps people grow in that manner. And then, so I got to know him a little bit better and we started addressing like more spiritual stuff and things like that. I started learning more about myself. The Fit Femme Project is based all around the Enneagram. So I know who I am in that aspect and how I communicate well, how I deliver information, how I come off to people and to give myself more grace and where I can challenge myself a little bit more, things like that.
Yeah.
And I just that's just a continuous cycle. You have to practice that stuff every day. You can't just leave it. I mean, and we are all guilty of like forgetting some days or like getting, becoming our emotions, which it's hard not to, but you get more stuff done for yourself when you don't become your emotions and you understand they are just emotions.
Oh yeah.
So, but like I said, we're all guilty of like waking up some days and just being like, poor me. Like, I am so tired. I'm so busy. But it's just, you have to realize that you chose all this stuff. And if you choose yourself every single day, you're winning. Like you just are.
Oh yeah. You truly are.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's hard to do.
It is.
Yeah,
because we beat the shit out of ourselves.
Exactly.
We do. And again, like in choosing yourself, you have to make sure that you're addressing like your emotional well-being and all of your childhood traumas and things like that. Like if it's not resolved, it will pop back up. Like it's common sense, like things like that. So now I am like so far into my growth and so disconnected from, my husband emotionally that I'm just kind of like, I've been doing things for other people my entire life, and I finally did something for myself, and I'm finally at like age 32, finding so much like value in myself, and my self-worth and self-esteem are just so like beautifully harmonic right now, and like things are so aligned. Even when things feel shitty, I am still so emotionally balanced because I know how to take care of myself.
Yep.
That like we have ultimately decided to actually split things up. We decided to split. So that's why I said I was looking for a new house.
Well, that's, and then, I kind of felt that way too, last year. And I don't know, I just felt like I hadn't created that emotional balance and I wasn't able to like be myself, express myself to in my last relationship. And there was no intimacy there and there was all these things. And then, not till afterward, and of course I faked it pretty well. I faked it.
The conviction is real, dude.
Yeah, I had all the things and this and that. Like
because you're doing it for yourself, so you can do it for them.
Yeah, and so, but then but that was the whole thing. All these really important parts of myself were very disconnected. That's why I called, the wedding off a month and a half prior. After a 4-year relationship, like pretty fucking terrible timing, but better than a year into it and still unhappy and who knows, probably having an affair or something like that and having to live with that.
And that person deserves better. Like if you really love that person, you've got to let them go. You
got to cut that. And it led me to where I'm at now with Lydia and I couldn't be happier, like met my best friend and I get to marry her and all these things. And it's cool. But I will say like a lot of, since then, the most emotional growth and even spiritual that I've had has been since that whole deal because chose myself.
Yes, that's the thing. That's the whole thing. The first time you choose yourself, like miracles start, like your life opens up.
Yes.
And your brain clears out.
Yes. And then life almost like moves faster.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I always talk about.
In the way that you need it to.
Yes.
That you always anticipated.
I talked to you about this, I think Saturday when I saw you in Chattanooga. I was like, life's moving so fast, but all it's just showing me is I'm exactly where I need to be.
Yeah.
Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And it's just because it's never moved like this. It's a totally different thing. But
it doesn't feel like checking boxes anymore.
Yeah. And you just think back to, but I think back to all the work I've done internally and on myself over the past year. And I'm like, well, that's fucking part of it.
Yeah.
You know, and then having somebody in your life that also pushes that too. And, you know, because they're also on the same kind of journey work. Lydia's been working on herself since a pretty traumatic experience last year. And so we're both kind of been handling these situations and going to therapy and working on all this shit. And it's just so now I got a teammate to work on this way that I see every day. So pretty cool.
And you realize like, it's not the other person's fault. They're not the problem. Like you have to consistently just support each other in all of that work because that inner work it's absolutely disgusting, nasty, icky, and it's uncomfortable every single day. Like sometimes you really do have a hard time looking at yourself in the mirror.
Yes.
And you're already picking yourself apart so much.
Oh yeah. I'm
trying to get better. And
I'm so hard on myself.
Yeah.
I constantly have to be like, Joe, like you're so hard on yourself. Just show yourself some grace. But I'm like, God, I had my expectations on myself are sky high.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, fuck, but I need to be this person. I need to be this example, you know, this, and this. But sometimes you got to give yourself some grace.
Yeah. I mean, we're 32 and we are doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing. Like we have to remember that every single day.
Exactly.
And the reason that we're here is because of all the stuff that we've gone through. I know, like for me, like being a Sagittarius, that I'm supposed to experience all of these things in my life. I'm supposed to struggle and develop more empathy and compassion as I grow. And I'm supposed to get wounded in order to heal myself so I can teach others and show others and mentor others how to do it.
Yeah.
And that's how it's been my entire life. And I wouldn't trade it for the world, no matter how hard it is.
Yep.
And now since I'm addressing all these things, I'm really looking at myself in the mirror and like cleaning up the mess, cleaning up that black tar. Getting the shit out of my pocket that I put in there 9 years ago. Like, my body's starting to respond. Like, my health is improving. My brain function is better. Like, my head is clear. My digestion's good. My body's, it's getting happier every day. Like, it's a true testament to, like, if you just treat yourself with kindness and love and take care of yourself and get your energies balanced.
Yeah.
Like, just literally nurture yourself because what else is there?
That's a fact.
We're all going to have battles, so you just got to make sure that you're looking out for yourself so you can look out for other people too.
And I think that's extremely valuable for everybody listening. That should be a clip. But look out for yourself. Take care of yourself, number one, or you can't take care of anybody else.
No matter how hard you try.
That's a fact. Shit, I'm trying to like not, rush this, but I want to like get more stuff out.
That's okay.
So
good thing you're only like an hour drive away.
Yeah, right. Hey, but
we are going to run into some battery issues shortly. Just so you know.
How long do you think we got?
I'm going to switch. I'm going to put this one in there, which will buy us a little bit of time. But then after that, we just don't have enough chargers for all the cameras.
Just try to wrap it up in like 5.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I want to touch base on some of these things more, but we'll make note of it and do it next time.
Sure.
Real quick.
I'm going to do some big things between now and then. So, yeah.
Hell yeah. Hey, same. Let's do it. So working on your emotional well-being, recovery, all that good stuff. Things have obviously been amazing recently. And you've seen a lot of growth. And I'm sure, that doesn't come without some tough days.
Yeah.
As for all of us. But your current state, where are you at now? What's going on with your business? Like, what's your goal? What's your relentless pursuit overall?
Yeah. I want to continue to just get the message out of the Fit Femme Project. We are doing more outreach this year and going next year than ever. We're going to try to start educating and giving like tools and resources to people that need it before all of this emotional turmoil really takes over. So we're going to start speaking with kids and parents how nutrition is so important for their growth and emotional well-being. Things that, happen while you're growing. Yeah. And, we have a lot of really cool things coming next year for that. And a really good team of people to do it with too. We have a lot of moms, a lot of young moms and a lot of really driven moms on our team too. And then the Fit Femme Project is going to start doing, retreats and things like that. I think it's really important to keep connection as like the focal point of everything right now, because
Of course.
everyone's hurting.
Yeah.
And when you're hurting and suffering, you seek connection. You seek connection with yourself. You seek connection with others, and you seek comfort. And through all of that suffering, you're going to develop more compassion and empathy than the last time. The last time you entered some challenge, whatever it is.
And people want stuff like that they can connect with. I'd done an interview for this magazine yesterday, and it was talking about like what's a strong suit of your brand to like connect with people. And I was like, authenticity and just being open and like connecting, and sharing the journey, the ups and downs with people, not just putting on some fake facade, like sharing like the bad shit, but sharing all the good shit and the overcoming. Because nowadays, like, I think there's so much going on. There's so much chaos. People don't know what to fucking connect with anymore. They'll grab they'll grab for anything to connect with, even if it's terrible for them. And so like, why not be something positive that individuals can connect with and be the best version of themselves, So I think that's just, and this, like what you're trying to do, you're building something that people can connect with on a deeper level.
Yeah.
Because anybody can join like a fitness thing, and start working out. But like, that's such a large scale.
Yeah.
But like actually connecting with it on a deeper level.
Sorry, I saw another corner of my eye.
Connection is definitely a really, really big thing this time and age, because if we're not actually connecting, if we're not connecting with like other people, we're definitely not connecting with ourselves. And if we're not connecting with ourselves, we're not growing, because we're not meeting ourselves right where we are. We're not giving ourselves the tools and resources that we need at this very moment to get to where we want to be tomorrow.
Without a doubt.
And nutrition is a huge part of that. Training is a huge part of that. And it's not just training your body, it's training your mind. It's training your emotions. It's creating new channels in your brain to think more positively, and, establishing like these habits that work for you, not against you. Cause I'll journal and I'll read, but some people don't like to journal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just depends. I love journaling. I'm a journaler for sure. That's what I did when I was on bed rest from my wreck. I couldn't walk for 2-3 months.
Yeah, I believe in it so much. Yeah. You're getting stuff out so you can put more good stuff in.
Exactly.
I think I avoid it sometimes because I don't want to get into the stuff that's in my head. But afterwards, I always feel better.
Honestly, it's good to see it. I like seeing like just the fucking some of the shit that goes on in my head, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Do you ever go, when you finish it, you go back and read it, and you're like, holy shit, I've grown a lot?
Oh yeah. Hell, I was showing Lydia this recording I took of myself when I was out there, did that 6 grand mushroom trip after things last year, because I called things off of my ex. And then I went and got a cabin, and
you flipped your body inside out.
Yeah, I stayed in the woods for 3 days, and one day I took literally like 6 grams of mushrooms in the middle of the day, and not to mention I had like a pack of cigarettes, some weed, and some liquor. So I was just like, let's feel this shit out.
Yeah.
And I had my phone's on airplane mode, so nobody could contact me. I think he was trying to connect with me about something for the brand.
What a setup! And I was on your actual own planet.
Yes, and I was like. He was trying to contact me. Somebody else was. And I was just like, and this was Jesse, like at the beginning. And I was like, yo, I'm freaking the fuck out. And so I called Jesse and I'm like crying. Like I'm in like my underwear, like walking around the woods. And I'm like, listen, Jesse, I'm turning my phone's on airplane mode. If anybody tries to reach you, like you're the only person that knows what the fuck's going on. Like Jesse would be able to understand, like, tell anybody like, yo, Joe's just tripping balls. He's going to be fine. Jesse's like the guy I knew would get it. And so I just left in this voice message, put my phones on airplane mode for like 12 hours. And there was this point to where I got like past all like the crazy waves. And then it got dark. I'm sitting by this fire and I set one of the phones up on the Jim Beam bottle. And I just sat there in this chair by the fire and just smoked cigarettes and just talked to myself. And it was just like, it was its own way of journaling.
Yeah.
Because it was still that private and intimate, but I, obviously at this time I'm not going to write tripping balls. Who knows what language it'll look like, but I was just recording myself and like I had showed, for some reason I came across these videos and I was watching them with Lydia and she was like, oh my God, like this breaks my heart. Like, she's like, just could see the pain and like all this stuff. And like, it made me tear up watching. I'm like, shit, man, that was like that dude's hurting right there. And, but then it's like journaling, but then I listened to it and I'm like, man, I really figured some shit out though. Yeah. Like, it's pretty cool to go back and see like where my mind was at and what I had learned in those moments. And it's fucking powerful. So journaling is like, same thing. But anyways.
I can't even imagine the shit that you heard yourself say.
Oh yeah. It's crazy.
I if you want to share those with me, like.
Oh yeah, I will. And I could like show you and stuff. Like I'll even send you a clip, but I'm just talking about how like, fucking just how like ignoring, much like you talking about letting it pile up, I'm an Aries, so I'm just like ramming forward always.
Yeah.
And so shit happens in life. I'm just like, like I just hit it with my horns, but it's still there.
Yeah.
And so it was just kind of this whole realization, like, fuck, man, like this moment, like what just happened like a few days ago, like was just the tip of it. And it's like this avalanche started. I was just rolling through it. Like this snow just had me and it was just fucking going. And along the way, I was just picking up every trauma ever. And it was just like, and I couldn't stop it. I just had to feel it and cry and just lose my mind. And I was like, man, like, I don't even want to wake up tomorrow. I remember saying that in one of the videos, like, I just like want to go to sleep and never wake up again. And just like, it was just this whole, all these levels of emotion that were hitting me, but then there was some uplifting parts too. And like these realizations I had, but there was also just like this really brutal shit. So I'll share it with you for sure.
You're allowed to tear yourself down as long as you build yourself back up.
Exactly. And that's what I did. I just wanted to rip myself apart just to rebuild,
Yeah. Just get it all out. Like a puzzle.
My girlfriend took a picture of herself when she was when she would be crying after her stepfather passed. But like she did it because she knew she would get memories on Snapchat like the next year and the next year.
Oh my God, I did that too.
Yeah. And at the time I was like, honestly thought it was, I'm not usually the type to think this, but I honestly thought it was kind of odd. I was like, what? I don't really understand why you're doing this. But then like whenever she got the memories and like now I see her, how she is now, and so it will pop up and she'll show me, she'll say, look, a year ago, blah, blah. And now I kind of get it because I'm like, oh, well, that's not how you are. Like,
yeah,
good to know. Like today you didn't cry, right? Well, that's like kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, today I had a really good day and now I look at my Snapchat memory and like, this is what I was doing before. I don't know. I see where I guess I understand it more now, but it seems to be a very personal
It's a way to look at your progression and your growth.
Much growth.
You know what I'm saying? Just a simple picture.
Yeah. I remember when I realized I was depressed, I was like, I'm going to take a picture. I was like, girl, you're not fine. I was like, your face feels like a basset hound. You don't want to be alive. Like, no matter how hard this hurts, I need you to look into a camera and take a picture of yourself smiling because that's what you've been doing.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to look what you look like, depressed.
Like when you're trying to hide it and you think it's like, yeah. I was
like, this can't be like real. Like, what is real right now? So I was like, I took a picture of myself smiling, and when I came off the medication, I read the thing that I wrote to myself about my medication, and then I looked at that picture and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, oh my God, Casey, like you were pulling it off, girl, for 11 years.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I have videos from like some depressive moments as well, like talking myself out of like my spiral. I was like, Casey, it's just a vortex. No matter how much I believed it or not. I was like, it's a vortex. It's really dark. People care about you. Like, I was just like feeding myself bullshit. But then I would watch it later on and I go, oh, like actually saying those things out loud helped.
Yeah. And no, without a doubt, like, and it's crazy, but it's crazy. You realize how long you've been playing this game.
Yeah.
And like, that's the thing. We're all playing this fucking game, this made up game or whatever that we've believed was our life for so long. And then it's so crazy when all that just unravels, but yet there's so many people that are twice our age that are still playing the fucking game.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking to me, honestly, because it's like I look up into space and I see just this, this galaxy of potential.
Yeah.
And just lostness. It just goes.
Lostness.
And I'm like, man, it just breaks my heart because I can just like almost feel that off of somebody. I can look, I don't try not to be judgmental, but I can look at somebody and
you can feel it.
It's how they hold themselves and how they feel. It's like, man, this person is just still not there's so much there with them, yet it's like, it's gone though. It's floated away.
Yeah.
It's crazy shit.
I've walked into rooms and I could feel the sadness in the room that I just instantly started crying. And I didn't know why, but then I was like, oh, it's the room.
Yes. This is why I get real weird about super public events and stuff like that now. Like I won't go to bars downtown just because it's like.
It's a lot of energy.
And it's a lot of people that are just like drowning that.
Yeah.
That lostness with just alcohol and just like this stimulation. And to me, I just go into it and I'm just like, fuck, it just doesn't.
Yeah. Especially when you're sorting through your own problems and you're trying not to distract yourself. It's really hard.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'll party.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like I'll go down, I'll go.
I went out for Halloween. I felt like shit the next day. You know what I did? Like,
Why not? But I don't know how, but I've been in the world where I've done that every night, and then but at the time I was so lost, and I wasn't myself, but,
It's 11:22.
All right. But anyways, Casey, we're gonna cut this one out because we just had great conversation. But now y'all know a lot about Mrs. Casey Samsel. And next time she comes on, which we hope is in the near future, we're just going to get into some other shit.
I'm going skydiving next week, so I'll come back on and tell you guys about it.
Yeah, skydiving's the shit. I want to get a dream of mine is to get licensed so I can like do a squirrel suit one day.
Fuck yeah.
It's like a goal.
I'm doing mine in Seattle where it's 40 degrees.
Hey, you probably have like a warm suit on or something like that.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, we're stoked to hear about that and everything else going on in life. And
definition of taking the jump, bro.
Exactly. And you're doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked to hear about it. And thanks for sharing your journey with us. And, we're going to be a part of yours moving forward and like whatever we can do to help you out. Let's do it. So
thank you, Joe. This was awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel very honored to be a part of this whole thing.
Hell yeah.
Such remarkable, resilient people.
I appreciate that so much. And we're so stoked to have you. It means the world for you to come on here and share, just open up. That's cool shit. So
You want to tell everybody where they can find you and whatnot?
yeah, tell everybody where they can search you at and,
So I hang out on Instagram. My handle is at casey.samsel. And then the FitFem Project is at the FitFem Project on Instagram. And that's where you can find literally all of me just in more of a businessy format.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Casey, thank you for being here. Everybody, thank you for coming on to the Relentless Pursuit podcast. As I said before, please like, share, subscribe, all the things. Thank you to my brother Logan with Cinema 83 LLC for all the videography editing. So reach out to him if you need to. And check us out. We're on all platforms as well. So, and if you're interested in running an ad and sponsoring on this podcast, please reach out at Relentless Pursuit Lifestyle at gmail.com or on any of our social media platforms. Thank you.